After my premature baby fought for life in the NICU, my aunt replied to my desperate plea for prayers with "Aloha from Maui. The weather is perfect." That's when I discovered her shocking lies. I'm Tiana, a 32-year-old marketing strategist who built a six-figure consultancy helping small businesses scale their operations. My husband David and I had everything mapped out perfectly until our son Noah decided to arrive 12 weeks early, turning our world upside down. What I didn't expect was how this crisis would expose the shocking depths of my family's betrayal. When I sent that desperate message to our family group chat at 3 a.m., my hands shaking as I typed, "We're in the NICU, please pray for us," I genuinely believed my family would rally around us. Instead, the first response was 5 photos from Aunt Karen's Hawaiian vacation, captioned, "Aloha from Maui, the weather is perfect," followed by radio silence from everyone else. Noah weighed just 2 pounds 3 ounces, connected to machines that kept him alive. David had to return to his engineering job after 2 weeks to maintain our health insurance, leaving me alone for 12 hours daily in that sterile hospital room. Not one family member visited during those first 4 weeks. Not my father, not my stepmother Eleanor, not Aunt Betty, not any of my cousins. Only my brother Jake called regularly, but he lived in Chicago. The isolation was crushing. I'd pump breast milk every 3 hours around the clock, document Noah's ounce-by-ounce weight gains, and send updates to the family chat that were mostly ignored. When responses came, they were dismissive. "My neighbor's grandson was a preemie and now he plays football," Karen wrote, as if that generic platitude addressed our terror. Everything changed during week 4 when my phone exploded with 62 missed calls. Jake's frantic text read, "Answer, this is bad." When I called back, he told me Aunt Betty had been in a serious car accident. "Dad asked why you're not here yet," he said. I actually laughed bitterly. "Jake, I've been sitting with my dying son for a month, and not one person has visited. Now they expect me to abandon him?" That's when Jake dropped the bombshell that would change everything. "That can't be right. Karen told everyone at Sunday dinner that she visits you 3 times a week, brings home-cooked meals, sits with Noah while you rest. She even showed Dad photos she claimed to have taken herself." The betrayal hit like a physical blow. Not only had my family abandoned us, but Aunt Karen had been actively lying, pretending to support us while ensuring no one else would visit. She'd created a separate group chat without me, feeding the family false updates about Noah's condition and our situation. She told my father I'd specifically asked him not to come because seeing him would remind me too much of my deceased mother. But here's what Karen didn't know about me. My marketing consultancy specializes in crisis management and strategic communications. I've helped dozens of businesses navigate reputation disasters and family-owned company conflicts. I understand leverage, documentation, and systematic campaign execution better than anyone in my family realizes. While they saw me as the grieving mother too overwhelmed to think clearly, I was actually conducting a methodical analysis of the situation. Karen had made critical strategic errors. She'd positioned herself as the family's primary information source about my situation, which meant any exposure of her lies would completely destroy her credibility. She'd also underestimated my professional network and resources. My consultancy generates $180,000 annually, and I maintain relationships with attorneys, private investigators, and reputation management specialists across Seattle's business community. More importantly, I had something Karen couldn't anticipate: comprehensive documentation of everything, every ignored message, every dismissive response, every photo timestamp, every hospital visitor log that proved she'd never been there. I immediately called Marcus Brennan, an attorney I'd worked with on several business disputes. "I need to understand my legal options regarding family harassment and potential defamation," I told him during our consultation. Marcus reviewed the evidence I'd already compiled and was stunned. "Tiana, This isn't just family drama. She's engaged in systematic deception that's caused you measurable harm during a medical crisis. The witness statements from hospital staff proving she never visited, combined with the documented lies to family members, could constitute harassment. More importantly, you have grounds for a civil action if you can demonstrate financial or emotional harm. Marcus introduced me to Rebecca Stone, a private investigator who specializes in family fraud cases. "I've seen situations like this before," Rebecca explained during our meeting. "The manipulator creates themselves as the information gatekeeper, then controls the narrative. Document everything. I'll help you build a timeline that shows the systematic nature of her deception." Over the next 2 weeks, while Noah continued his fight in the NICU, I methodically built my case. Rebecca helped me obtain visitor logs from the hospital proving Karen had never signed in once. We documented the timestamps on all her social media posts during the periods she claimed to be supporting us. I compiled screenshots of every family chat message, including the separate group she'd created. The evidence was overwhelming. Hospital records showed I'd pumped 847 bottles of breast milk, spent an average of 14 hours daily at Noah's bedside, and handled all medical decisions alone except when David was present. Meanwhile, Karen had been posting daily vacation photos, attending family dinners, and maintaining her regular social schedule while telling everyone she was my primary support system. My business background taught me that timing is everything in confrontation. I waited until Noah reached 4 pounds and was stable enough that I could focus on family matters without compromising his care. Then I coordinated with Jake to arrange a family video call while everyone was gathered in Aunt Betty's hospital room. The confrontation was surgical in its precision. I started by showing them Noah on camera for the first time, letting them see exactly how tiny and fragile their great-grandson and nephew actually was. Then I systematically dismantled Karen's lies with documentation. "Karen told you the NICU restricted visitors to just grandparents and that I asked her to take Dad's spot," I said, displaying the visitor policy on screen. "The NICU allows 4 designated visitors. David and I are 2, Jake is 3, and we've held the 4th spot open, hoping someone would want it." When Karen tried to claim she'd visited once and I was sleeping, I showed the visitor logs. These are official hospital records. Every visitor must sign in with ID. Karen's name appears nowhere in 8 weeks of logs. The room went silent as family members realized the magnitude of her deception. My father looked stricken. "Karen, you told us Tiana was getting all the support she needed." "She told you I specifically didn't want visitors," I continued, while I was literally sending daily updates to our family chat begging for prayers and support. She saved the photos I sent and reposted them, pretending she'd taken them herself. The confrontation continued for an hour as I methodically revealed each lie. Karen had told different family members different stories. That I was too emotional for visitors, that I preferred privacy, that the hospital had infection control restrictions, that I was getting professional counseling and didn't need family support. By the end, the family was in shock. My father immediately committed to visiting the next day. Eleanor offered to bring meals and supplies. Cousins who'd been told not to bother me started texting apologies and support. But I wasn't finished. As a marketing strategist, I understand that consequences must be proportional and lasting to prevent repeat behavior. Karen had isolated us during the most vulnerable time of our lives, causing immeasurable emotional harm and potentially affecting Noah's development by stressing his primary caregiver. I implemented what I call strategic accountability measures. First, I established clear boundaries. Karen would have no relationship with Noah until she acknowledged her actions and made genuine amends, which I knew she was incapable of doing given her narcissistic personality pattern. Second, I shared the documented evidence with key family members, ensuring everyone understood exactly what had happened. This wasn't vindictive gossip. It was factual information sharing to prevent future manipulation. Third, I leveraged my professional reputation within our extended network. Karen worked at a small nonprofit where several board members knew me through business connections. While I didn't actively campaign against her, I also didn't hide what had happened when asked directly about our family situation. The consequences compounded naturally. Karen's attempt to visit the NICU was blocked because I'd already instructed staff not to add her to our approved visitor list. When she protested that she had rights as Noah's great aunt, the staff nurse calmly explained that only people I designated could visit my medically vulnerable child. Word spread through our family network about Karen's systematic deception. Her reputation as the reliable family organizer crumbled as people realized they couldn't trust her information. Holiday invitations stopped coming. Family members started communicating directly with each other instead of going through her. Most satisfying was watching her panic as she realized she'd lost her position as family matriarch. She sent a lengthy email trying to justify her actions, positioning herself as protecting the family from my drama. I deleted it without responding because engaging would only give her the attention she craved. Meanwhile, my family relationships began rebuilding on my terms. My father, devastated by his absence during our crisis, became a devoted grandfather who visited twice weekly. Eleanor proved surprisingly supportive, bringing carefully researched preemie supplies and asking thoughtful questions about Noah's development. Jake temporarily relocated to Seattle, taking unpaid leave to help us navigate those crucial early months. His presence allowed David and me to attend couples counseling sessions, addressing the trauma of Noah's premature birth and the family betrayal. When Noah finally came home after 10 weeks in the NICU, weighing a healthy 5 pounds 8 ounces, our support system looked completely different. The people gathered for his homecoming were those who'd proven themselves through actions. Jake, my father, and Eleanor, Aunt Betty, recovered from her accident, and several NICU families who'd become genuine friends. Karen made one final attempt to insert herself, showing up uninvited with a teddy bear and demanding to meet her great-nephew. I calmly explained that she'd forfeited that privilege through her choices and that our door remained closed until she completed genuine accountability work, which would include acknowledging specific harms and making concrete amends. 6 months later, Noah was thriving beyond all medical expectations. He'd caught up developmentally and showed no signs of the complications often associated with extreme prematurity. Our family had been rebuilt around people who demonstrated genuine care rather than mere blood relation. The experience taught me that crisis reveals character, and sometimes the most painful revelations lead to the healthiest outcomes. I'd learned to set boundaries based on actions rather than family obligations, and Noah would grow up surrounded only by people who'd proven their love through presence during our darkest time. As for Karen, she remained effectively ostracized from family gatherings, still unable to understand why her helpful lies had consequences. But I'd moved beyond anger to indifference. She'd given me an unexpected gift, the clarity to see who truly deserved a place in our life and the strength to enforce those boundaries without guilt. The irony wasn't lost on me that her attempt to control our family narrative had actually empowered me to create a much healthier family dynamic than we'd ever had before.